Well, good morning everybody, and welcome back to the Fishing Townsville channel. And today is the day that we get to reveal the electronics that are going into the 485 SF. Previously I've been running two of the Humminbird 998s, one up the front here and one on the dash, and they've been excellent units, I have to say. These were purchased probably a good nearly 15 years ago, and I guess the reason I haven't replaced them up until now is that they still give a reading just as good as they ever did, so I didn't feel the need to, but they have been giving me a few issues and some frustrations, so it's time to rip them out and put something new in. And after much consideration and much help from a lot of local guys, I have decided to put in the Garmin 8412 on the console, and thinking about, or have gone and put the Livescope system on here as well. So at the moment I'm going to run the Livescope system just off the side of the console from the back, and then down the track put a second unit up the front and move the Livescope up the front as well, so it'll be much better positioned up there, but that's an additional cost for a second screen, and I can't do that right now. So yeah, this boat has had a few upgrades in the last couple of years. It's getting a little bit aged, so a new trailer went under it thanks to Townsville Marine about 2 years ago. We put an aluminium trailer under here, and last year the Suzuki 90 went on thanks to Hammerhead Marine, and now it's electronics time, and she'll be fully up to date. And these electronics are supplied through Wicked Marine Electronis, and Greg down there has done an awesome deal for us, and yeah, they'll do us for hopefully many years to come. So I've been thinking over the last few days exactly how I want to lay this out in the boat. I think I've got a pretty good idea for what I want it to do. Being a 12-inch screen, being a large screen, it is going to mean that it's too big to flush mount in the console, so it will be on a bracket, and I think that'll also mean that the windscreen's got to go off this boat in order to fit it in on the console without squishing in behind the steering wheel. So I'm pretty sure the windscreen will go. And other than that, yeah, let's go and put it all in. We'll rip the old stuff out first and then get started. So a couple of years ago, after the dash, it had quite a few different changes. I put this, or cut this black Perspex piece onto the dash to fill in most of the holes. And I think what I'll do, I've got some of the scrap of this left over, or another piece similar size left over. I think I'll just cut one exactly the same and sit it on top and fuse the two together and duplicate it, because it's only a fairly thin piece of plastic, so that'll double it up. It'll fill in the hole from the old Humminbird, and put a bit more stability back on the dash for the new unit. Alright, we'll get this windscreen off and then we can have a look at what the unit will look like sitting on the dash. Not long replaced the Perspex in this windscreen too. There we go. Alright. Beautiful. So we'll sit her up here. Alrighty, look at that one. Garmin 8412, 12-inch screen. More connectors on the back of this thing than you possibly imagine, including multiple transducers, obviously network, even HDMI in and out, so you can use this thing as pretty much a TV screen, or you can output to a TV screen. One of the things I really liked about this one in comparison to some of the other 12-inch models is it's a true 1080p display, so pixel resolution on here is 1920 by 1080, whereas a lot of the other 12-inch displays are still you know, around about the 800 horizontal pixels. And yeah, more pixels equals more resolution equals the better ability to see stuff. So yeah, I think the higher resolution of this will be awesome. So let's have a look at what it'll look like up on the dash. So yeah, I think we'll mount it fairly high on the dash. Try and bolt into as much of the original fiberglass as we can, but I think, yeah, something like that is about what we need, as high as we possibly can, pretty much, to get a nice clearance around that steering wheel. Yeah, alrighty, I think that'll do us, something like that. I think one of the trickiest things we're going to have today is just running the new transducer cable through the side there. It's a fair bit of wires runs through the side of the boat, and it's pretty tight in there. I think what I'll do, I'll just tie something to the other end of this cable, pull it through, and then pull the new cable back through the other way, and hopefully it's not too tight and it runs through okay. I got no idea how the new transducer holes will line up with the existing holes, but I've got my fingers crossed that we can reuse them, but I doubt it. There we go. Alright, there's a couple of original holes there too from the old transducer. It was on there before this one, but yeah, we'll get that cleaned up. It's looking pretty good. It should be easy enough. Alright, we'll get this transducer out of the box. This transducer is a GT56 transducer, which is Garmin's traditional and side down image transducer. There we go. Nice. So a little bit smaller than Lowrance's side image transducer. 500 million bits and pieces. We'll get these the bracket out and see if we can't reuse the holes that are already in the transom of the boat to secure that one. Yeah, she's definitely a little bit wider than the original bracket, but we'll reuse one of the holes maybe. Yeah, I don't know, we want it centered on the deflector, so I'm not sure. We might be sealing those up and going with new holes. You're right. Alright, so most of the old stuff's out now. It's pretty easy really. We'll get off to probably Wicked Marine and get a bit of wire and some connectors and whatnot and start wiring the new one up. Alrighty. Thanks, mate. Thank you. See ya. Alrighty, so we've been shopping at Wicked Marine and this is the plan. So as I said earlier, I've spoken to quite a number of people who gave advice on some decisions in terms of going to the Garmin unit. And one of the pieces of advice I got was that these units like lots of power and lots of clean power. So following their advice, I'm going to run this system off the 24 volt batteries up the front that are usually just solely for the Minn Kota trolling motor. So I've got a Anderson. Bella, would you like to play? Right. Good job. No, that's enough. It's enough. It's enough. No more. No more. That's busy. That's busy. No. No. Yeah, you go chase the bee. Alrighty, so I've got one of these Anderson plugs with a inline fuse already in it, so it saves me having to put a fuse in. So I think what I'm going to do is pop one end of that Anderson plug on, and that'll connect to the battery terminals. And then I've got a 5 meter extension that I'll run down through the side of the boat and back to the console with power. And then I'm going to build a little bit of a distribution block on a board there that'll power everything. I think we'll probably go inside and build that because it's pretty warm out here now and it's air conditioned inside, and yeah, we don't need to be out here to do that. All right.
Failure thing.
Alright. Tricky part's definitely going to be getting our power wires up along the side here. But there's a cable that runs through from the this GPS antenna that we should be able to trace, and hopefully we can get all the way back. Alright, fortunately we also have a little access panel in the side here. That is power when the old nav lights are up the front here. The nav lights used to be on the front of the boat and I moved them to the console. So that runs all the way to the console and should be a good pull through. Glad I left that there. Not quite sure how I'm supposed to get the power up to that access hatch. That's a tricky one. Might need a coat hanger wire or something. Oh, success. All right. I don't know how we did that, but there is now a connection from there to there. We just got to get it from there back there. All right, trick one done. All right.
I think I'm actually going to use the old GPS antenna as a pull through. I trust it a little bit better. It's definitely a bit thicker, and that GPS antenna is definitely no longer required. That goes back to the days of, I think that might have even been for the original Suzuki, maybe, I'm not sure. The Humminbird had its own GPS antenna which can come off now, and the new Sound, I think it's a built-in antenna. So there's also the new Suzuki's got its own antenna as well. So this one is 100% not required. You really want to make sure when you're pulling through cables that they're not going to come apart. And hopefully also don't get stuck on anything. Try and make it that slides through without too many issues. Right. Time will tell. That here, one of the things I genuinely feared would be the most difficult, and that's getting power all the way from the front, down the sides, and back out the console. Job accomplished. 24 volts now at the console. Beautiful. Alright, we're getting very close here to doing a test power on very shortly. Power's run. My little distribution board is basically made up. It'll be temporary for now. It's just a thin piece of Perspex, but I don't know, I might try a piece of marine ply, or yeah, I don't know, if you've got some suggestions, comment below. And but it'll do for now to get the power on and test the unit. I've just got to put the Anderson plugs back on the end, connect the battery, and then we should be good to power on. I'm not saying I know what I'm doing, but hopefully it works. Don't follow my advice. Alrighty, so my little power distribution board. Our power distribution board is now plugged in, so we've got power running 24 volt from the batteries at the front down the side to that distribution block. Powering the GLS10 for the Livescope, now plugged into the Garmin. I think we're ready to turn it on. Fingers crossed. It looks like it's already powered on. Apparently she works. So it's telling me I need to get the Active Captain app on my phone. I'm not sure where my phone is, but I've already downloaded that, ready to go. So yeah, it looks like we work. Alright, so rather than try and pull the transducer cable through, which I think was going to be a struggle, it's pretty tight, I've undone the console, which I didn't think I was going to do. But it'll be good, I think, because have an opportunity to tidy the wiring up under the console, because it's a bit of a mess. But anyway, console is off, and that'll make it much easier to run the transducer cable anyway. Alright, so we do have a template for the transom mount, which I think should be pretty accurate. A little bit of movement within the slides of the screws. Unfortunately, nothing lines up with the original, but I'll silicone them up hopefully and be alright. Alrighty, so what I've done is I've marked this piece out just roughly using the original one as a template. I think I'll just cut around that with the jigsaw. I'll go fractionally large and then I'll bolt the two pieces together and just run the edges until they're all nice and smooth and even. Alrighty, so we'll strap these two together and just use the belt sander to get the rest of the way done, and then just redo the hole for the Suzuki motor gauge. We should be good to go. Alright, one thing I'm not quite sure about is with the Garmins, they don't have a hole in the middle of the bracket to run the power and transducer cables down through, so I'm not quite sure what people do out there. Well, as you can see, she's on and she works. It might be time to do the peel. Oh yeah. Alrighty folks, it's day 2 of installing the Garmin system, and the boat's a big fat mess. We'll try and tidy everything up today and finalise, and yeah, maybe go and have a test on the water. We'll see how we go. Well folks, for the most part everything is installed, updated and ready to go, except for the Livescope transducer, which I might save for another day for next weekend, but for the moment the sound is in, transducer's on, and everything's ready for some fishing. I'd like to put a massive thank you out to everyone who gave me a bit of advice when it comes to choosing the Garmin sounder and the Livescope system. Lots of people played an input there, and thank you to everyone. But the biggest thank you of all has to go to Greg from Wicked Marine Electronics. Greg has a ton of experience when it comes to marine electronics, and he's only just started up his new business, Wicked Marine Electronics. And Greg and I go back a little way when he was making his fishing DVDs. So yeah, he did us a really good deal. So if you want to check him out, his website and Facebook page will be linked in the description below. I think one of the things I'm most happy with is actually the mounting position of the 8412. I really like that it sits up high, it's above the steering wheel. There's room behind the steering wheel for your hand without any issues there. But at the same time, you can look straight over the top of the unit when running along. So I'm really happy with where the positioning ended up. I did end up putting the marine ply on the for the mounting the live sonar and the distribution block for the electronics. Don't know if that'll stay permanent, but it was a cheap solution. We'll see how that goes, but it certainly is functional and easy removable if I want to take that unit out. I'm glad I run everything off the 24 volt system up the front. That way I know I've got nice clean signal, nice clean power all the way through to all the units that are using that, and not running off the dodgy old wiring under the console. It was a much bigger job than I anticipated. It's taken 1.5 days to do this, but at the same time cleaned up a few things on the boat, cleaned up the wiring under the console here, which was a mess. Could probably even still be better. But definitely better than what it was. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm certainly no expert. I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to 12 volt electronics, but not much knowledge when it comes to installing this sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a bit of a journey, and everything seems to work well. Next weekend barramundi season opens, and we'll be on the water, maybe with the live, maybe without, but we'll have enough there to get fishing anyway. Alrighty, till next time guys.